thought it would make sense. I had a couple people say, how did you get into this? And so rather than sharing the story, I'll give you the 4-minute version. I actually got approached with this in a consulting capacity with an operator that was struggling. They had a small portfolio of freestanding memory care communities, and a high level of interest as the opportunity was brought because of the trajectory of America and older adults coming. And from a business sense, it's always good to get in the middle of something where the pie is getting bigger and you don't have to go steal somebody else's, like the ability to do something that makes a difference. And so that piqued my interest. And so I basically just got engaged for 30 days to come figure out why operations weren't running. And what makes my heart come alive is getting teams running in the same direction, singing the same song, and running for the same reason. I love that. And so I came in dressed similarly to the way I am right now, which some of you guys are like, oh, I can tell you how that went. And the goal very quickly was to figure out what was broken. A community had been open for about a year and a half and had 5 residents. Doesn't matter how many apartments there were, because 5, it wasn't a residential home. And so there was a lot of things that were broken culturally. And 2 things happened for me in that first 2 weeks that I was there. One, on the first day, is I realized no one would talk to me because I was dressed like this, and they definitely thought I was from corporate, which I technically wasn't. I was just an outsider coming to help. And so I made a pivot, which I do, like saying I want slides now, and I didn't a minute ago. And the team's gotten used to that. But I made a pivot. I drove home. I was about 3 miles from my house, and I changed clothes. And so I put on, jeans, my Air Force Ones, and my hat on backwards, and a T-shirt, and came back in after lunch, did a wardrobe change, and walked back in, and everyone was like, "What are you doing?" I'm like, "This is me, and we got to figure out what's going on here. Like, this is crazy." And everybody started opening up. It wasn't because of my clothes. It was more because of my posture, my approach, and I met people where they were at. And that proceeded to work every shift and to bathe residents for the first time. 0 clinical backgrounds, which that was an aha moment, right? So being in a room with someone when they're completely naked and not lucid was a first. And the approach, like, it was the CNA, just one of the lead CNAs, was kind of like, all right. I was like, what's going to happen in there? They're like, we're going to bathe. Have you have a kid? Yeah, I have a kid. So just walking you through, stop acting weird. And I'm like, all right, stop acting weird. Okay. What am I supposed to act like when I'm sitting with a person that's naked and I'm washing them? And you're like, you ask too many questions, just come watch me. And I'm like, I have questions because we need to be able to scale this and figure out how to teach people the right way. And you can tell, she's like, who put this Yahoo with me? Why did I have to work with him? And so then it's washing clothes and staying overnight and all that stuff, and intricate, infinite curiosity. And you'll hear me talk about that a lot. Like, you can do almost anything that you put your mind to if you choose to develop an infinite curiosity and don't feel like you have everything figured out. Don't have to be the smartest person in the room. It doesn't matter what you put your mind to. You just keep your nose to the grindstone and get after it. That was kind of my approach. 2 things happened that first couple weeks. First couple weeks for me. One, I fell in love with the people that do the work because I was so enamored that, like, man, these people really have a hard job every single day. They come in and do this and could go do something different. They could go do something different, like have a cool job at Starbucks and be a barista and all that stuff. That's my mind's going to. So I had a huge respect growing. And they could see and feel the respect that was growing inside of me for them and the way that I communicated with them. And what I saw very quickly is they felt like objects to be used for someone else's end that was replaceable. And so I'd known from organizational structure, like, if someone feels that way, they'll never be locked in on their work. So the way that you get someone locked in on their work, for me, it was like, this is amazing. You really could make a movement here if people just felt appreciated, truly, not techniqued. People are smart regardless of their educational background. And I was like, if these people didn't feel technique and they really, truly, at a deep heart level, knew that I greatly appreciated what they were doing, because I can't, as I proved to all of them. And so that was it. Second thing is I had trouble in the beginning falling in love with, remember, this is mid to high level acuity memory care. So I'd not been around people with cognitive changing abilities, and I wish my story was different, that I just went in there and knew how to interact, and I was hugging every resident that was, drooling or slack-jawed or in a geriatric chair. I didn't know what to do. And so for me, from a business perspective, there were a couple residents that were a nuisance to me. And I'm speaking dead level honesty, guys, as possible, is there were residents that were making unusual noises that would cause people to freak out when they would come to her. And so my mind went to, let's either segregate them, or move them out. Bottom line, like that'll fix this. And so as I'm writing up a plan of like what we're going to do going forward, there's a heart moment that happened. I was spending about 2 hours a day, about 2 weeks in, leaving because of all the noise. It was a resident stuck on a verbal loop. They just kept saying the same thing over and over again. Help, 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 over and over again. And so for me in that moment, I was like, this is ridiculous. Like, someone do something. And I asked, but I didn't seek. Someone do something. I didn't say what has been done. It was like, someone do something. This is ridiculous. Your job. Figure this out. So for me in that moment, I started working 2 hours off-site. So I'd work my schedule, begin the week with a plan, and about halfway through the day, I would leave, get work done at a coffee shop, plug in at my headset, answer whatever I need to, and then go back in and invest in the team. The residents, a shift had to happen for me. I knew from building effective teams that team needed to know that I believed in them, but something definitely had to change for my thinking. And so I can show you the parking spot that I drove back into, third from the right, across from Wood Creek Junior High. I sat in that parking lot coming in, and what I thought, which again, terrible, but it's just honest to where I was at, I was like, golly, I got to go back in and listen to that lady again. She's going to be so loud. And in that moment, you guys have probably never had those feelings before, so just pray for me. But in that moment, I sat there and you know, to change your thinking or others, you got to learn to ask really good questions. And I'm thinking in my head, like, I don't even understand really why that, like, what purpose does that lady's life serve? I don't get it. She can't feed herself. She can't bathe herself. She can't get up out of that chair. She requires something of every single person around him. I'm having this philosophical moment in the span of like 4, 5, 6 minutes. And really what it came down to was, do I really believe there's value in this person's life that's sitting in a chair that's taking from society consistently? And in my mind, I'm like, of course, if there's breath in someone's lungs, their life always has purpose, right? I knew what my answer was supposed to be, but I allowed myself the free space in that moment to say, no, I don't think. If you look at the way that I'm interacting with a person, trying to stay away from them, acknowledging, written in my report, we probably need to remove resident whatever out of the building. In that moment, something had to shift, right? So it was either I wanted to make sure that what I was saying lined up with the way that I was living. And in that moment, I cried like a little kid in my car because I felt terrible because what I believed did not line up with the way that I was living. And so I had the courage in that moment to say, like, Lord, I don't know why this person's alive. I don't know the purpose. It doesn't make sense to me at all. I'm just kind of standing on the fact that I don't believe that people have breath in their lungs on accident. And I have no clue what purpose this woman's life can serve. I really don't. But I want to have the courage when I go back in there to create a team that they will hunt to find the purpose. Because I think that family, nobody came and visited that family. Nobody came and visited that resident. Never saw anyone that came in there. So literally, there wasn't possibly anyone other than our team that would care or believe that there was purpose in this woman's life. And everything changed for me in that moment. So from that is like, well, if I can have that moment, what if we put a team of people together that thought, if truly like woke up every day, they didn't have to convince themselves that here we go, got to take another day. But they woke up with the approach of what I've seen in the nursing community, that hard jobs, like there is something inside of you when you pursue a healthcare profession that's not some pediatric orthopedic surgeon that's making, $1.5 million a year running a global practice. Forget that part. I'm talking about like the day-to-day, hour-to-hour, hands-on, executing with delivering care to people in need of it. Like those folks. There's something unique about those. What if we rallied a team of people like that together around a common core belief, unwavering, won't come off the line, that, oh yeah, if they're alive, they definitely have purpose. I love the ones that everyone else has given up. Can't wait for them to be around me and my team. Like, what if we could put a team together? Now, fortunately, that was a 48-unit freestanding, single-story, wood frame construction memory care community. Super small team, 4 houses of 12. Super simple layout, right? So it was easy for me to get to everybody all the time, right? And I was still erring on the side of motivation externally, me. Yeah, let's go, woo! It doesn't work that way. And so that turned into me going on as chief operating officer of that company, and then from there I started getting a little further away from the work, and then that turned away from me leaving and starting my own senior living platform, which the first person that I went and hung out with to say, like, what are you doing? Was Thrive.